Hey, good morning. If you all were with me right now and were to look out this window, you're gonna see the sun shining. I'm talking about a blue sky, no clouds in the sky. It's in the low 70s, so this is like the ideal day for so many people, right? There's one thing that I do know for certain, that it's not gonna always look like that outside. You know what I mean? Like, I know at some point there's gonna be some gray clouds that roll in. You know, I'm gonna hear some thunder. I'm gonna see some lightning. You know, I'm gonna see the rain accumulating on the ground. You know what I mean? I'm gonna see the trees and debris blowing around. You know, and when I talk about these storms, sometimes we view them differently. They could be good, they could be bad. There's somebody I would consider a modern day scholar, right? We refer to him as BK. Now, he often would speak about something known as whirlwinds. So when I'm referring to storms, I'm thinking about those whirlwinds and those conversations. And this is all talking about the challenges that we face in life, and many times what really gets us, it's not even the challenge, it's just that unexpected challenge. That's why we often will say things like, when it rains, it pours, and it's just one thing after the other, so we deal with these storms. But one of the biggest differences in how we address these storms, which is our perspective, the way we think about it. So I'm going to kind of talk briefly about some ways in which that we could just deal with these storms, deal with these challenges. I remember reading that storms aren't always meant to destroy us. Sometimes they're meant to clear a path. I do want to take a moment just to stop and acknowledge the fact that there are some people that are going through some storms that, the average person can't handle. I'm talking about storms where they are dealing with terminal illness. They're dealing with family and friends that are going through extreme hardships. They could be dealing with some form of abuse. They could be dealing with the loss of a loved one. Those are some heavy storms. Everyone cannot handle those storms. Unfortunately, those are storms that we will encounter, and I'm not minimizing what those individuals go through. So I had to stop and take a moment just to clarify that, However, when these storms come in our life, it can often be about perspective, the way we view them. Are they good? Are they bad? But once again, I think what it really is they're unexpected, so we almost view it as bad simply because as humans, we tend to like patterns. We like to feel comfortable. We like when things are in order. That's why if you were to think back and read about Harriet Tubman, she often carried a pistol when she was freeing, freeing blacks from the South, that were enslaved, when she was freeing enslaved people, and the reason she brought a gun, it wasn't always because, like some people thought, they thought it was for protection. She really brought it because some people were so enslaved that they were enslaved mentally, and they were so afraid of the unexpected, of what they were going into, that they would much rather remain on the plantation, because unfortunately, due to what they have gone through, in their minds, sometimes it was at least they knew where they would sleep. They knew when or what they would be fed. They honestly, unfortunately knew, like, hey, what we're gonna deal with physically regarding the abuse and everything that they went through, and they felt more comfortable in that environment. And Harriet Tubman had to bring a gun to almost force freedom into them, because they're dealing with what they've gone through being enslaved, but as a human, once again, it's things that are unexpected sometimes that we feel may almost take us out. But if we were to really think about it, to kind of validate what I'm saying about perspective, we've had many unexpected things happen to us, but it could be good. Have y'all ever had a surprise party? I can never forget my wife's face some years ago when she pulled up in our driveway and hit the button and the garage opened up, and she saw that, she saw her new car. Not a new car, but new to her car, but that joker was clean, but it was backed in with a ribbon on top and everything, and that was unexpected. But at the same time, she just loved it. She was so excited. So once again, unexpected things happen to us, but once again, often it's perspective in terms of how we deal with those things. Once again, yes, it rains, it pours, storms do come in our life, but once again, they're not always meant to destroy us. Sometimes they'll give us a clean slate, and not only that, I just want us to stop and think about the worst day of our lives. Just think about the worst day of our lives. And for a majority of us, at least if you're listening to this, I'll say all of us, if we were to think about that, you're still here. We may not be the same person, but we've made it through the worst days of our life. We are still here, which shows some of our resilience, how strong we are. I do want to say this. Remember one thing, I'm a teacher, not a speaker. Once again, I'm a teacher, not a speaker. So when it comes to working in laboratories and so forth, there's a device known as a centrifuge. And what happens with the centrifuge is, let's say that you have a solution. You're trying to do some research on cells or viruses or whatever, and you have a solution in a liquid. You put that in a test tube, you slide it in the centrifuge, you turn it on, and it spins around really, really fast. So you see that centripetal force and that gravitational force, and what it does, just like the whirlwind in our life, it's gonna feel chaotic. It's spinning around, everything's moving around, but what happens over time in that centrifuge is that solution is made up of different things, and as it spins, the heavier, or we'll say the more dense substances will go to the bottom, and then the next dense substance on top of that, and layers are gonna form until the least dense substance is on top. So when things are moving around, it's gonna be chaotic. That's like that storm in our life. But we're gonna realize over time is that in that centrifuge, everything is broken down into neat, organized layers. But the most dense is at the bottom, which is like a solid foundation. So out of this chaos, out of this quote unquote storm, you have order that took place. You have a strong, solid foundation that has formed. So once again, these storms that come our way, they're not always intended to destroy us. Perspective is one of the factors. And when it comes to these storms, there's some techniques to deal with these challenges that we experience. Sometimes we just have to accept and let go. Accept the fact that some things are out of our control. And when we let go of things that are out of our control, that allows us to release the anxiety and fear because you have no control over it. So we have no choice but to keep going. Sometimes we have to observe and decide. So as we go through those storms, sometimes we do need to step back and really look at it and come up with a plan and start to come up with a strategy in how we deal with that storm. How can we make the best out of it? And sometimes we just have to face the fear and act. The fear is when we deal with these storms and we deal with something that's unpredictable, sometimes we just have to act. And sometimes that first step is the most challenging. That's that act. Yes, we dealt with the storm. Yes, we have this obstacle and all of this, but sometimes we got to turn those obstacles into a stepping stone. So we have to act. And then finally, the fourth thing is sometimes we just have to practice gratitude. We just have to stop and look at everything around us and just really make a list of all of the things that we're grateful for, all of the things that we do have and not what we think that we lost. And we don't know what's gonna come from it. So all of these different things are what can help us come up with the perception and the perspective to make it through these storms. You will make it. We can't live through hell and then go to hell, right? We gotta keep going. Do not get stuck and trapped in a storm. Keep going. So I'm hoping somebody was encouraged through this. Yes, we will go through storms, but they will not break us. You will come out stronger on the other side. Remember, I'm a teacher, not a speaker. Y'all have an amazing day.